Yo, what is going on, guys? SCJ here, back with another video, and today I wanted to do something kind of interesting and review or talk about Kevin Durant's performance in his first game in 552 days, or even just the actual game itself. So I'm not sure if this would be something that's considered a bit different from my other content that I've made in the past, and I can definitely see or understand that, but I've also talked about Luka's performance in Game 4 of the first round in the 2020 NBA playoffs, even though the video was more so about the history he made in the game and how high his ceiling is, so I'm not really sure if this is in line with my typical content or not, but I felt like making a video on this as the game was a big deal despite it only being a preseason basketball game, and my videos and content on Kevin Durant typically are popular and do good, so I figured why not talk about KD and last night's Nets vs Wizards preseason game in Brooklyn. So the Nets beat the Wizards 119-114, and KD had 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks in just 23 minutes on the floor last night. Kyrie Irving looked very good as well, as you can see here, and pretty much the whole team looked good, but in the third quarter, the Nets completely lost their huge lead of 26 points, so I mean, I guess you could say the team looked good for only one half of play, but of course, nevertheless though, we're going to spend the time in this video talking primarily about Kevin Durant. So Durant did look very good out there, like I said, but you got to remember they faced a young and short-handed Wizards team without their starting backcourt of Westbrook and Beal, who were their two best players. But I think since it was still NBA game action for Durant, that's really all that matters and just what's important. Durant's first basket of the game was a slam, and on said slam, he didn't seem to lack athleticism or seem to look different than he did prior to dealing with the Achilles injury. And a good reason for that most likely was his freak size and height and how easy he made slamming the ball look on his first basket and slam as a Brooklyn Net. One of the other things I noticed was how he had a good eye out there of finding his teammates and getting the ball in their hands despite only having 3 assists on the night. You could really see getting the ball to the other guys was seamless for him, and there were times where he'd get a good look into one of his teammates, then they'd immediately draw the foul, so he passed better than his numbers actually looked and knew the correct players and correct timing in terms of who and when to pass the ball off. The one thing we knew wouldn't change or wouldn't be affected with his Achilles injury was of course his shooting, and even though he only shot 5 for 12, his shooting still looked good last night, and he hit some decently tough shots or shots that at least weren't easy. Obviously 5 for 12 really isn't bad at all, but Durant has set such a high bar for himself with his prior shooting over the years that him shooting 5 for 12 is of course going to disappoint some people. Also, some of those misses came in the second half as he didn't score a single point in the final 24 minutes of play, but he finished the night midway through the third quarter, so it's not like he played most of the second half and still was just unable to score. Nevertheless though, putting his shooting to the side, and Durant really did have a solid night or a solid Brooklyn Nets debut, even if it was just a preseason contest against a short-handed Wizards team that didn't count for anything. Also, one positive to mention is for the first 9 minutes and 27 seconds of the game, Durant and Irving were both on the court together, and Durant was 3 for 3 from the field with 11 points, while Irving shot 5 for 6 with 12 points, and that helped the Nets jump out to a 30-18 lead, so that's definitely a positive takeaway for the Nets and both Durant and Irving. Back to focusing on just Durant though, he looked good and really looked normal or not any different when he was getting up and down the floor, and like I said before in the KD video I made back in May, it's kind of what many people who knew all the info, facts, and the complete breakdown and specifics of the injury Durant suffered would most likely expect. I'm going to play some of the clips here from his post-game interview with Michael Grady, but KD said in the interview that he felt great in the first half, but he wasn't really focused in and really wasn't in rhythm in the second half, and took what he described as a bad 3 to start the quarter, and said that really threw him off his rhythm a little bit.
I mean, I felt great in the first half. Second half, I didn't focus in enough on the shots that I took. I wish I'd have made all of those shots. I took a bad 3 to start the quarter, and that kind of threw me off rhythm a little bit. So I mean, it's good to just go through this stuff again, man, you know, and I'll watch film tomorrow and just keep growing.
He also mentioned getting comfortable and used to everything again.
Man, it felt good. I mean, obviously the circumstances are different, no fans in the stands, and I know the Nets fans were looking forward to this day, but hopefully they enjoyed it on TV, and it's a first step for me as a player, you know, getting back on the court, getting back into my routine, and, you know, I felt good. I felt like I knocked some rust off early on, and I just got to keep building from here.
So I think while he looked solid last night, we really won't know for a little bit until he's gotten the rust off and we're multiple games into his time with the Nets, just how he'll look as a member of the team and also how he'll look in the future and for the rest of his career. So last night was just one preseason game which didn't count for anything against a short-handed Wizards team lacking their two best players, but definitely was a big night for Durant as it was his debut for the Nets and return to the court after 552 days. And through the highlights he put up and his overall stat line on the night, Durant definitely had a solid night. This was simply just a small taste and small sample size of what we might be able to expect from Durant and Irving during their time with the Nets. But you also have to remember that this was their first game together, as well as the fact that the results were positive, and of course, that's not always going to be the case. And you will have nights where either Durant, Irving, both of them, or just the Nets as a team don't look good out there. And I mean, results obviously aren't going to look the way they did last night every night. So take last night's game and performance with a grain of salt because of all the factors I mentioned throughout the video. And while we don't really have a definitive answer for a few weeks, it was still a solid night for Durant, Irving, and the entire team. And we'll see how they look Friday when they take on a tough Celtics team in their second and final game of the 2020 preseason. So yeah, guys, I want to know what you guys thought of Durant's performance or simply just last night's preseason game between the Nets and Wizards. Let me know down in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video though, and if you did, then make sure to give the video a like as it helps out a lot. And if you want to see more NBA content like this video or my others, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you stay up to date with my newest uploads. And if you want any breakdowns or more in-depth breakdowns, since this one wasn't that in-depth, then also let me know that down in the comments section below. But anyway though, guys, I'm SCJ and I am out. Peace.